Today I'm also on Tutor, and today we're looking at solving quadratic trigonometric equations. Like this one, tan squared theta minus 2 tan theta minus 10 is equal to 0, alright? In this interval, and we give all our solutions to three significant figures. So, first thing you need to know is tan squared theta or sine squared theta or cosine squared theta. All that means is that trigonometric function all squared, alright? It's just another way of writing it down. So let's let tan theta be y, because then it's going to make things a lot easier for us, alright? Because we can visualize it as just another quadratic equation. So now it's just y squared minus 2y minus 10 is equal to 0, alright? It doesn't factorize in this case, so we just use the quadratic formula. We get y, and therefore tan theta is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 11. Okay? And then we solve for theta. Alright, so first we solve for tan theta, then we solve for theta. Okay? So that's just solving simple trigonometric equations. If you don't know how to do that, watch my other videos. I'm just going to go through this quickly. Alright, so it's 1 plus root 11 and 1 minus root 11, right? 1 plus or minus. That's the thing with quadratics. Most of the time you have two answers, right? If you factorize this, you have two answers for tan theta. Alright, so you need to solve for both of them. Okay? One of them is usually positive and the other one is usually negative. So do not neglect the other answer. Okay? Here I just use the graph, right? Add 180, take away 180 to get to the next value. And the values for theta within the range are 77 degrees, 130 degrees, 257 degrees, 292 degrees, all to three significant figures. Right, now it's your turn. Alright, try solving cosine squared 3 theta minus cosine 3 theta is equal to 2 within this interval. Alright, solve for theta. Go. So, we rearrange it so everything's equal to 0. Alright, and let cosine 3 theta equal to x. Alright, if this was cosine squared 3 theta minus cosine theta, for example, then you can't make it a quadratic, alright? So you need all the cosine functions to have the same input, alright? So we'll let cosine 3 theta equal to x, alright, or any other letter you want. And this one factorizes, so x is negative 1 and x is 2. Alright, so cosine 3 theta is negative 1 and cosine 3 theta is 2. But that's impossible because if you imagine the graph, the limits are at 1 and negative 1. Alright, so cosine 3 theta cannot be equal to 2. Alright, it's a horizontal translation, not a vertical one. So either way, the y limits, the range is not going to change. Okay? So we only work with this value. Alright? Sometimes it's like that in the exam. One solution for the quadratic doesn't work, so you only use the other one. So I'm using cosine n, make it one value instead. Alright, how to solve trigonometric equations. Watch my video on that. And you get inverse cosine of negative 1 is 180. So it's all the minimum points on the graph. Alright, we also have to change the interval, alright? So, smaller than or equal to 540 and bigger than or equal to negative 540. Right, so these are our values for n, and we solve now for theta, which is positive or negative 180 degrees and positive or negative 60 degrees. Next. Okay, so this is a bit more difficult because you have to use trigonometric identities, alright, to simplify it into one trigonometric function. I haven't made a video on that yet. Hopefully I will in the future. Okay? So in the exam, it's not always going to be an easy, simple trigonometric function to solve. It'll usually start with a show that question like this. It'll probably say show that this is equal to, and then a simple trigonometric function. And once you've done that, it'll probably ask you to solve that simple trigonometric function. Alright? Go! Okay, so what I did is I just divided everything by sine x, cosine x, so I write it out in full. I divide each number, everything by sine x, cosine x. Alright, so some of them cancel and some of them turn into tan x, or 1 over tan x. Alright, Then I multiplied everything by tan x, and that gave me a quadratic. Alright, put everything to one side, I did tan x equal to y, and I solve for y. And I get y is negative a half, and y is 2, so tan x is negative a half, and tan x is 2. Now we solve for x. Okay, so I solve for tan x is equal to negative a half first, or I use the unit circle in this case, alright, and I get these other two values. The value that the calculator gives me is actually not in the range, so I can't use that, right? And then we solve for the other value for tan of x, right? Because remember it's a quadratic, so it usually has more than one value. Alright, so we do inverse tan of 2, okay, and I get 1.1071 blah 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 blah. By the way, if you're not getting these values when you do inverse tan, it's probably because your calculator is not in radians, so put it in radians mode. Okay, and I use the unit circle in this case, and I got 4.2487 is the other value. Okay, and these are all the solutions for x in this interval to three significant figures. Okay, this has been the Awesome Tutor. Bye.